Have you ever wondered why some women make men risk everything for them, while others, no matter how hard they try, are constantly ignored or left behind? Is it beauty? Is it personality? Or is it something deeper, something invisible yet incredibly powerful? Today, we will uncover a hidden truth about human nature, one that explains why certain women inspire undying devotion, while others struggle to hold on to love. Let me tell you a story. Two women, two very different fates. The first woman gives everything in her relationships. She sacrifices her own needs, always trying to prove her love, always making sure her man knows she's there. She thinks that by giving more, by doing more, she will secure his heart forever. At first, the man appreciates her efforts. But slowly, something changes. He begins to pull away. Her endless devotion, instead of strengthening their bond, starts to feel suffocating. He loses interest. He stops making an effort. And one day, he walks away. She is left heartbroken, asking herself, "What did I do wrong? I gave him everything." Now, the second woman, she loves deeply, but she never loses herself in love. She is kind, but she is not desperate. She values connection, but she does not chase. She respects her man, but she also respects herself. And something fascinating happens: he treasures her, admires her, and is willing to risk everything to keep her. Why? Because attraction is not about proving your worth. It is about embodying it. Because love is not about clinging, but about creating a space where desire and devotion naturally grow. And that is exactly what we are going to explore today. In this video, we will dive into the psychological and philosophical principles that shape commitment and devotion. We will uncover the hidden dynamics that determine whether a man sees you as someone to protect and cherish, or someone he can easily walk away from. This is not about manipulation. This is about understanding human nature at its core. Before we begin, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever experienced this in your own life? Have you ever felt like you gave your all, only to be left behind? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready to learn the real secrets of human connection, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Let's begin. What truly makes a man commit? What makes him feel that a woman is special, irreplaceable, and worth sacrificing for? The answer lies deep within the unconscious mind, in something Carl Jung called archetypes. Jungian psychology teaches us that every human, whether man or woman, is influenced by ancient psychological patterns that reside in the collective unconscious. These are not just learned behaviors but instincts, universal symbols that shape how we perceive the world, love, and connection. For men, one of the strongest unconscious forces is the idealized feminine archetype, an image that exists deep within their psyche. This archetype is not based on beauty, wealth, or even personality. It is something deeper, a reflection of his own unconscious needs, fears, and aspirations. Now, let's look at how this works in real life. Have you ever noticed how some men become completely devoted to a woman, willing to risk everything for her, while others treat relationships as temporary, easily replaceable experiences? It's not just about the woman's actions, it's about how she activates his unconscious archetype. Imagine two women. The first woman is kind, loving, and does everything for her man. She gives endlessly, sacrificing her own needs to make him happy. And yet, he starts to pull away. He begins to take her for granted. He doesn't feel that deep instinctual connection that makes him want to protect and cherish her. Now, the second woman, she carries herself differently. She is also kind, but she radiates self-worth. She has her own life, her own purpose. She awakens something deeper in the man, something he cannot fully explain. And this is the key: men do not commit because a woman does everything for them. They commit because she reflects something profound within their psyche. Carl Jung explained that when a man meets a woman who mirrors the best parts of his unconscious mind, he feels a pull toward her that goes beyond physical attraction. He feels a connection that is bigger than himself, a desire to protect, to cherish, to commit. This is why men fall for women who seem to have an unspoken, magnetic presence, because these women embody something ancient, something deep within the male psyche. So, how can you activate this? By becoming a woman who is rooted in her own essence, not one who seeks validation, but one who already knows her worth. By embracing your own inner archetype, you naturally trigger the same level of commitment and devotion in others. Before we move forward, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever been in a situation where you gave your all, yet the man didn't fully commit? Or have you known women who seem to effortlessly attract deep devotion without chasing? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's go deeper into how you can embody this archetype in your own life. What makes a man stay? What makes him willing to commit, to give his all, to protect and cherish a woman? It's not beauty. It's not even love. It's respect. A man can deeply love a woman, but if he feels disrespected, if he feels that his masculinity is being diminished, his desire to stay will slowly fade. Carl Jung's analytical psychology teaches us that men are not only influenced by conscious thoughts but also by unconscious forces, deep psychological patterns that govern their behavior. One of the strongest forces is the need to feel like a man, to feel respected, valued, and significant. Now, let's look at real life. Imagine a man who starts a relationship full of excitement and devotion. He is attentive, affectionate, and protective. But over time, something changes. He withdraws. He becomes emotionally distant. He stops putting in effort. Why does this happen? The answer is subtle but powerful: he no longer feels like a man in the relationship. So, how does this loss of respect happen? Signs that make a man feel disrespected. Constant criticism. Every man has flaws, but when he feels that nothing he does is good enough, he begins to withdraw. Lack of appreciation. If his efforts are met with indifference or entitlement rather than gratitude, he starts to feel unvalued. Public embarrassment. Calling him out in front of others, correcting him, or making him feel small in public damages his sense of dignity. Control and micromanagement. When a woman tries to control every decision he makes, he starts feeling suffocated rather than supported. Emotional disrespect. Ignoring his feelings, belittling his problems, or making him feel weak for expressing emotions. Now, here's the key: men do not demand respect with words, they respond to it through action. If a man feels respected, he will naturally become more committed and emotionally available. Protect and prioritize the woman who respects him. Take on leadership and responsibility in the relationship. But when he feels disrespected for too long, his instinct is to distance himself or leave. This is why some women, despite doing everything for their man, still feel him drifting away, because love without respect is unsustainable. So, how do you ensure respect in a relationship? By valuing him as a man, while maintaining your own self-worth. By appreciating his efforts, while holding him accountable for his actions. By giving him space to lead, while knowing when to stand firm in your own boundaries. Before we move forward, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt a man pulling away, even when you thought everything was fine? Or have you seen relationships where a man completely devoted himself because he felt truly respected? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's explore how to create a relationship built on mutual respect and deep commitment. Why are men drawn to what they cannot fully possess? Why is it that when something feels too available, it loses its value? This is not manipulation, it is human psychology at its core. Carl Jung's analytical psychology teaches us that the unconscious mind is drawn to the unknown, the mysterious, the things that are just out of reach. The moment a man feels that he has completely figured you out, the moment he senses that there is no more depth to explore, is the moment his intrigue begins to fade. Think about some of the most iconic women in history, women who captivated the world and held the devotion of powerful men. Let's take Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind. She was neither the most beautiful or the most traditionally submissive woman of her time. And yet, she had an undeniable magnetism. Men pursued her not because she begged for their attention, but because she had an untamed spirit, an unpredictability that kept them constantly engaged. Then, look at Marilyn Monroe. She was more than just beauty, she had an aura of mystery, a sense that no matter how much attention she received, there was always more to discover about her. That is what made her unforgettable. But what does this mean for you? It means that being an open book is not as attractive as you think. A relationship should not be a game of control, but a dance between closeness and distance, a delicate balance where there is just enough space for curiosity, admiration, and desire to grow. So, how do you cultivate this sense of mystery and maintain the right amount of distance? 1. Keep your own life vibrant. A woman who loses herself in a relationship will eventually become predictable. The most attractive people are the ones who remain deeply engaged in their own lives, their passions, their ambitions, their friendships. 2. Do not overexpose yourself emotionally too soon. Vulnerability is beautiful, but there must be a sense of earned closeness. When someone feels that they have immediate access to all of you, they do not value it the same way. 3. Allow him to miss you. In a world of constant availability, scarcity creates value. When you are always there, always accessible, there is no longing, no room for anticipation. A little distance can make the heart grow fonder. This is not about manipulation. This is about understanding the nature of attraction, that desire flourishes in space, in curiosity, in the unknown. So, before we move forward, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever noticed how some people remain unforgettable, while others, despite doing everything right, are taken for granted? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's go deeper into how you can master the art of attraction without games, without pretense, but with true self-awareness and confidence. What makes a man risk everything for a woman? Is it her beauty? Her kindness? Her devotion? The truth is deeper than that. A man does not commit deeply to a woman because she is perfect, he commits because she is valuable in a way that cannot be replaced. This value is not about external validation. It is about intrinsic worth, the kind that comes from within, the kind that no one can take away from you. And the first step to becoming this kind of woman is simple: do not make a man the center of your life. Think about it. A woman who revolves her entire existence around a relationship, who waits for texts, who sacrifices her dreams, who abandons her ambitions loses the very essence that made her attractive in the first place. She goes from being a force of nature to being an extension of the man's life, and nothing is less attractive than that. Now, let's take a real-life example. Imagine two women. The first woman is deeply in love. She rearranges her entire schedule around her partner. She stops pursuing her passions because she believes love should come first. She gives him everything, her time, her energy, her entire sense of self. And yet, instead of feeling grateful, the man starts to lose interest. He begins to take her for granted. He doesn't feel the same excitement he once did. Why? Because she is no longer a mystery, a challenge, a source of inspiration. She has become too available, too predictable, too dependent on him for happiness. Now, let's look at the second woman. She loves, but she never loses herself in love. She has her own goals, her own ambitions. She builds a life that excites her, with or without a man. She doesn't wait by the phone, she is too busy living. And here's what happens: the man sees her as rare, as irreplaceable. He feels a deep instinct to invest, to protect, to cherish, because he knows that if he does not, she will continue to shine, with or without him. Carl Jung's analytical psychology teaches us that men are wired to seek value and purpose. They do not commit to women who chase them. They commit to women who are so deeply rooted in their own essence that they become magnetic. So, what does this mean for you? It means: heavy checkmark, prioritize your own life, your dreams, your passions, your growth. Heavy checkmark. Never abandon yourself for a relationship. Love should enhance your life, not replace it. Heavy checkmark. Become a woman who is fulfilled on her own, and watch how men are drawn to you effortlessly. Before we move forward, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever put a relationship above your own happiness? Have you ever felt the pain of losing yourself in love? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's go deeper into how you can embody this rare and irreplaceable energy in your own life. A man will not fully commit to a relationship unless he feels safe, not just physically, but emotionally and psychologically. This doesn't mean he needs protection from harm, it means he needs a space where he can be himself, where he feels respected, valued, and free. Carl Jung's analytical psychology teaches us that men, like women, have unconscious needs that drive their behavior. One of the strongest needs for a man is the need for freedom, not freedom to leave, but freedom to be himself without fear of being controlled or judged. The moment a man feels that a relationship is suffocating, that he is constantly under pressure to perform or meet unrealistic expectations, he will instinctively begin to withdraw. So, how do you create a space where a man feels safe enough to invest, commit, and give his all? Let's look at a real-life example. Imagine two women in a relationship. The first woman is loving, but she is also controlling. She constantly checks in on her partner, questions his every move, and tries to fix his problems for him. At first, the man may appreciate her care. But over time, he starts feeling trapped. He feels like he has lost his sense of individuality in the relationship. Instead of feeling like a man who is trusted and respected, he starts feeling like a child who needs permission. And so, he pulls away. Now, let's look at the second woman. She is also loving, but instead of trying to control her man, she offers him trust and space. She listens to him without judgment, she supports him without trying to fix him, and she respects his choices without needing to dictate them. She understands that a man must feel like he is making a choice, not fulfilling an obligation. And here's the result, he becomes more present, more engaged, more devoted. Because instead of feeling trapped, he feels free to choose her every single day. This is the secret: commitment is not something you demand, it is something you inspire. So, how can you apply this in your life? Heavy checkmark. Give him space to lead. Let him make decisions and contribute to the relationship in his own way. Heavy checkmark. Listen without trying to control. When he shares his struggles, resist the urge to fix them. Sometimes, he just needs to be heard. Heavy checkmark. Trust him to be his own person. A man thrives in a relationship where he is respected, not micromanaged. Before we move forward, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever seen a man pull away when he felt pressured? Or have you experienced a relationship where a man became more devoted because he felt truly accepted? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's dive deeper into how you can cultivate an irresistible energy of trust and confidence in your relationships. Setting clear boundaries and knowing when to walk away. A woman who does not set boundaries will always find herself chasing after love instead of receiving it. Carl Jung's analytical psychology teaches us that we attract what we tolerate. If you accept disrespect, inconsistency, and emotional neglect, then that is what will continue to manifest in your relationships. A man does not respect a woman because she loves him more, he respects her because she loves herself enough to walk away when necessary. Now, let's look at a real-life example. Imagine a woman who is in love. She forgives his broken promises. She overlooks the fact that he never prioritizes her. She accepts his inconsistency because she hopes that one day, he will change. But here's what happens: he doesn't change. In fact, he becomes even more careless, even more distant. He sees her as someone who will always be there, no matter how he treats her. Now, let's look at a different woman. She, too, loves deeply. But she has standards. She is willing to communicate, to compromise, but she will not tolerate repeated disrespect. When a man takes her for granted, when he fails to show up emotionally, she does not beg, she does not chase. She walks away, not because she wants to manipulate him, but because she respects herself too much to stay where she is not valued. And here is what happens, that man realizes what he has lost. Because the truth is, what is freely given is rarely appreciated. When a woman has the courage to walk away, she sends a powerful message, not just to the man, but to herself. I am valuable. I do not beg for love. I do not settle for less than I deserve. So, how can you apply this in your own life? Heavy checkmark. Recognize the signs of disrespect. If he constantly ignores your needs, breaks promises, or fails to prioritize you, those are red flags. Heavy checkmark. Communicate your boundaries, be clear about what you will and will not accept. Heavy checkmark. Walk away when necessary, not as a test, but as an act of self-respect. Because here is the truth, the wrong man will make you feel like you are asking for too much. The right man will rise to meet your standards. Before we move forward, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever stayed in a relationship where you were not valued? Have you ever had the courage to walk away, and seen how it changed everything? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's explore how you can cultivate a mindset of self-worth and unwavering confidence in love and life. We have explored a profound truth about human psychology today. Men fall in love with women who require them to step up and pursue. Not because it's a mind game, but because it aligns with their natural instincts. A woman who is confident, who has self-respect and clear boundaries, will never have to chase love. Love will find her. Let me share a final story. There was a woman, let's call her Emma. For years, she gave everything in her relationships. She prioritized her partner's needs over her own. She tried to be the perfect girlfriend, always available, always accommodating. And yet, time after time, she found herself being taken for granted, left behind, heartbroken. One day, she had enough. She stopped making a man the center of her world. She stopped settling for less than she deserved. Instead, she focused on herself. She pursued her passions, built a life she loved, without waiting for someone else to complete her. And something incredible happened. The same men who once took her for granted began to notice her differently. They saw her strength, her confidence, her self-worth. Some tried to come back. Others admired her from afar. But the difference was, Emma no longer needed validation from anyone. And then, when the right man came along, one who truly saw her worth, he didn't just choose her. He committed to her, deeply, without hesitation. Because he knew she was a woman who would never settle, who would never beg for love, who knew exactly what she brought to the table. This is your power. When you focus on your own value, when you set clear boundaries, when you trust that the right person will rise to meet your standards, you will never have to chase anyone. Now, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever lost yourself in a relationship, only to realize later that you deserved more? Or have you seen how shifting your focus to yourself changed the way people treated you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your story. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because there's so much more to explore about self-worth, relationships, and the psychology of attraction. Remember, you are the prize. The right person will recognize it. Let's move forward, together.